What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Joey672 coming to you guys with a video right now. So, more news is coming out, and I always put stuff out like this, just speculation or obviously some, after the Carson Wentz trade, maybe more of the truth will come out, and of course I'll report on that just because it's drama. It's just stuff that happens. It's nice to talk about it and really see the real view of what players think, and obviously with this Carson Wentz trade, how it affected both sides with the Eagles and the Colts, and what's been really said. So obviously we heard from Jason Peters, we heard from Brandon Graham. We heard from because of the the restructure, and talked about just the Carson Wentz trade. Says Philly is a tough place to play, and when things weren't going right, I know it was tough on him. And that is true in a lot of aspects, and that's what this fan base is going to do to you. And then when Jason Peters obviously was talking about coming back, and also was talking about he was just in Philadelphia. It's a hard city to play for. You got to bring it every year, or Philly will eat you up. And Jason Peters knows that. He's been here pretty much his whole career almost. So with Carson Wentz and what's been going on, the truth is coming out very slowly. And I think from the beginning, the start of, I think pretty much from the middle of this season, I think he knew this was going to happen. A trade was going to happen. Carson Wentz's sights were not set on coming back here, coming back to the Eagles, and playing for the Eagles 2020-21. With Carson Wentz and what he's done, unfortunately, there was no fight back. There was no fight back when the season ended. There wasn't any, we're going to get this right, we're going to do this. There was none of that. And I understand there was no, obviously Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman wanted Carson Wentz back. Unfortunately, I don't think the Eagles did right by him. I've explained this a million times. The Eagles didn't do right by him during the season when, they didn't really, you see somebody struggling, they never really were there for him. They didn't give him a run game while Carson Wentz was already pretty much being embarrassed by himself. Nothing really helped in his aspect of staying here, but he could have been here. There wasn't really anything that, the front office was going to keep him here. And obviously with Nick Sirianni, with his first press conference, he couldn't even tell you the answer if Carson Wentz is going to be here. So you already knew that something was going to happen. Like I said, the compensation was fine. But with this locker room in 2020, I think there was a split locker room. And obviously, if you're on a team and you see your quarterback, just say you play football, and you see your quarterback play this bad for so many weeks, okay, and it's got to bother you in some way. Like, something's got to happen. Something's got to be done, and nothing happened. You know what I mean? Carson Wentz has had bad luck here. Obviously, just his mind just I'm telling you, it just wasn't to play football for this team. I think with Nick Foles taking over for him twice, Jalen Hurts now taking over for him when Carson was benched during that Green Bay game. I mean, I think that writing was on the wall right there. No communication, body language for Carson Wentz, no communication with Doug Peterson for weeks on end of the 2020 season. I think it was all on the board. The front office wanted to keep Carson Wentz in there for weeks. Doug Peterson wanted to bench Carson Wentz and put Jalen Hurts in earlier in the season. And then coming into 2021, Doug's plan was to keep, to start Carson Wentz this year, get him back on track and to kind of fix him. Even though, it was said that Nick Sirianni was brought into Philadelphia as a new head coach to fix Carson Wentz. And, look what happened. I think the cards were already set right after that last game. I think Wentz's decision of moving on was pretty much happening to the middle of the season. I think as soon as he got benched, probably a couple games after that, I think it was pretty much known he was going to be leaving. I think he knew what he was going to do. Obviously, after the last Cowboys game at home in Philadelphia, pretty much sitting in the stands with Zach Ertz and Jason Kelce an hour and a half after the game, it really did show, things are going to happen. And obviously with Zach Ertz as well, that he's not going to be here by the time free agency does come. But I think this locker was definitely split, and unfortunately, this is what happens. And I don't think Carson Wentz, could handle playing here. I don't think he can handle the fans. He couldn't handle the fan base. He couldn't handle, he just can't handle the outside news, unfortunately. And he never took that challenge, not only on the football field, to compete against Jalen Hurts, but he couldn't really compete and kind of compete against the fans and say, hey, I'm going to make this right. You're going to see what I'm going to do in 2021. So when when he FaceTimes or when he, there was text shown that he was texting a Colt player that the Colt player put up. I can't wait to compete against you, and he puts the word compete in there, and I'm like, you're going to a place where you're with a coach that you do like in Frank Reich, good relationship. You don't have to compete for a quarterback spot. The spot is given to you without competing. And Torrey Smith said some words a few weeks ago saying, if I'm getting paid this much money and I have to compete, then there's a problem. And I'm sitting there like, of all the people in the league, Torrey Smith has been around. And just because I'm getting paid all that money, it doesn't guarantee my starting spot. It should, but at the end of the day, it really shouldn't, because Aaron Rodgers, they draft a quarterback, and is Aaron Rodgers, in the fetal position in the corner of the room and saying, oh, it's over, it's done, I shouldn't have to compete against anybody? No. And this happens. So for what Jason Peters and Brandon Graham saying, it's not saying they're throwing shade at Wentz as much, because I know most of the people in the comment section will speculate that this is putting shade on Wentz. This is only speculation, but I really do think that there was a split locker room and things just teammates were not feeling it. And, if you see someone struggling, you help that person. The Eagles didn't help Carson. Carson wasn't helping himself. And everything pretty much just fell apart at the same time. Because if he's on any other NFL team, guarantee you he would have been benched by week 4 or 5 of the season. Okay, they wouldn't have kept him in for that many weeks on end, losing games, holding on to the football, fumbling the football, whether there's problems or not, whether you have an offensive line problem, it doesn't even matter, because at the end of the day, if your quarterback does not want to be here, which he does not, if he doesn't want to be here, nothing else matters. Okay, nothing else matters to fix him or anything. Like if he just doesn't care, I don't want a quarterback playing here that is doesn't care about this fan base and doesn't care about this team. And then as soon as I could see it. I could see how happy he was going to the Colts. And that's just the way it is. I mean, but this news was just something I had to bring up, and more will come. Sooner or later, more of the truth does come out. I will be reporting on that. But I think there was definitely a split locker room here. I didn't think during the season there was, but when you're losing games, you're not winning games. So things, you start looking in the paper, not the papers, but you still looking at the media on your phone. You start looking at other things. When you start losing, you're seeing what beat writers and sportscasters and everybody's saying about this team and specific players. Even Malcolm Jenkins. I mean, Malcolm Jenkins has been around here a while, okay? And he knew what Carson Wentz, and they, Malcolm Jenkins said that the Eagles were kind of caressing his ego, and they weren't, putting him in a corner. You know what I mean? They weren't saying, hey, you got to do better, Carson. You got to play better. They weren't reprimanding Carson Wentz. They were just like, oh, okay, we lost our 5th game in a row. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And just kind of said whatever. You know what I mean? And Malcolm Jenkins, I believe him 100%. Believe him 100%. They let him get away with so much here. Okay? Jalen Hurts comes into that Green Bay game, and Carson Wentz is saying to himself, here we go again. But Carson Wentz was professional. He was helping Jalen Hurts on the sideline. He was doing what he could as a teammate. He doesn't want to make himself look bad to the media. He doesn't want to make himself look bad to when he gets traded. So it's like, oh, well, look, like he got benched and this is how he acts. That didn't happen. So he was a good teammate even when he got benched. But obviously in the back of his mind, when he got home, it's a whole different story in his mind, what's going on inside himself. So I think this was a meant to be trade this year. And I am very humble with Jalen Hurts, and whether he's a success or a failure, I mean, just give him a shot, give him a whole offseason. He's been having a good offseason, working out, taking the receivers out this month to Houston. He's trying to put the team on his back. He's trying to become that leader for this team, but obviously he's not guaranteed the starting spot. He's going to compete, and he doesn't care. This guy right here cares if he had to compete. Okay, so now with Nick Foles over his shoulder, and now with Jalen Hurts over his shoulder, and then, said, you know what, I'm going to go to a place where, apparently I have the job and I don't have to worry about anything. And I think that's just I think that's weak. I just think that's really weak. Just like when I played in high school, even in college, like I had to make sure that no one took my spot every single year, because that every week counted towards your spot. I didn't. You can't be, not saying cocky, but you can't be like, say, oh, I'm guaranteed to have this, I should have this. Just because you're making that much money, it doesn't mean anything. That's when Torrey Smith said that. I kind of was like, when you're making that much money, when you're making that much money, and you have to compete for your job, obviously, you're going to be wanting a trade. I'm like, I think that's just, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. You have to be a consistent player on a big contract. Not even a big contract, just consistently as a player. Like, if you want to start on the field, you got to play consistent. I understand it was one bad year for Wentz, but his attitude towards the coaches, whether you like the GM or not, like, be there for your teammates. You know what I mean? Be there for your teammates, whatever the reasons are. And if Carson didn't like what was going on, he should have said something about it, and he should have worked with the front office if that was the case. But I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but I think it's just good to know the truth. And I'm happy with the conversation we had. If you think the Colts are going to bench Carson Wentz in 2021, it's not going to happen. The Colts are not going to bench Carson Wentz next year. That first round pick is going to be ours next year unless he gets hurt. That's the only way we're not getting that first round pick. I think we're going to get that first round pick just because if the Colts bench Carson Wentz because he plays bad, just say that even happens, okay? Because he might play well. You never know. So whatever it is, if he plays bad, he gets benched. He's in the same situation. And if another quarterback comes in, whoever the backup is for the Colts, if he comes in and starts playing really well, he's in the same situation. I don't think the Colts are going to put him in that situation because they know what he went through with the Eagles. Obviously, Frank Reich, out of all people, knows and been following Wentz since 2016. So I think that first round pick is definitely ours at the end of the day. So it's already a 12-minute video. I don't want to make this long. Yeah, I'm following me on Twitter. Please follow me on Twitter at JoeyShake72. Guys, haven't liked, subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe. Obviously, free agency, the draft is coming up, so very excited. I can't live stream on this channel for another few weeks. Have a few more weeks to go. So I can't wait to get with you guys soon. Might do a live stream on my backup channel for everybody to kind of give their piece about what's going on. But just want to bring this news out. It's late night. Just wanted to bring some news out and just reminisce. So other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys later. Shake Squad up, follow us, 5. Peace out, guys. Peace.